Hey everybody, Ryan O'Donnell here, Tectosa. I wanted to share with you something in Schoology that we've had for the entire school year, but I don't necessarily know if a lot of teachers are using this tool, which really integrates the use of Google Docs along with Schoology to really kind of make these two interact with each other, which that a great way for teachers to be able to assign assignments to students and have them, and we've been able to do that in the past, but not necessarily just assign them, but have students be able to return them back into the teacher. There's normally a submit feature, but this new tool called Google Drive Assignments is going to be a significant difference. So I wanted to be able to walk you through what it is and how to be able to set it up. So first off, let's start up with the setup process. So if I'm here at Schoology, if you go to your home button, it takes you to home with your feed and all that, but I want you to look on the left-hand side, or we're going to go over to what's called the App Center. And when I click on the App Center, these are different tools in which that I can add on, usually made by another software company, often referred to as a third party. And so we're using Schoology, but we're going to use somebody else. And so we're going to use the Google Drive Assignments. Now, when I go to the App Center, you can see here up on the top, it gives you a preview of some highlighted ones, and below it has some other ones that you may want to check out. And mine defaulted right to this one that we do want. This one's called Google Drive Assignments. Now, this is different, and this can be a little confusing. This is different than the existing, which is the one that you see down here called the Google Drive Resource. So assignments and resource, I think almost all the teachers already have this resource app on here. It's a place for us to be able to ultimately just see Google Docs within Schoology. What we want to be able to do is this one, the assignments piece. This is the workflow app that's going to allow this back and forth. And so if this doesn't show up, you can scroll across the top to be able to get to some of these the large icons up here. Again, here's Google Drive. These are the same. That's not the one that we want. We want, keep scrolling, to Google Drive Assignments. Now, when you click on that, click anywhere on the image, it's going to take you to a description of what it is, and then you're going to click on the Install LTI app, and it's going to walk you through and say, hey, what classes do you want this installed on? I would click all of mine just to be able to put them on. I've already installed them, so I'm going to X out of that. Once it's set up, that's relatively as easy that it is, and now it's been put into those particular courses. So now the next step is let's be able to assign and see what this looks like. So I'm going to go over to my courses. I'm going to go to one that I have set this up in, and I want to be able to think about like I'm going to do an existing lesson, let's say, something that I want to be able to give kids and have them return back into me. So I'm going to go into my lessons folder. I categorize, you can see reflections projects. I'm going to go into my lessons folder, and I got lessons 13 through 19. So I'm going to start my next lesson, and we'll call this lesson 20. And so in my lessons folder, I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to go to add materials, and I'm going to go to add an assignment. I'm going to make this the next step in my the next lesson that my students are going to be having. So I'm going to call this lesson 20, and for the sake of this, I'm just going to call this new stuff. Now, normally what we would do is in this area is where we would attach a document, put a link to something, resources, even be able to type in here and change the formatting. But here I can actually put nothing because I want the students to open up the document. So for here, I'm just going to put something just to remind them to be able to open up the assignment. But for the most part of my classes, I don't even put any information in here. I was just going to put here, I would say, open the Google Doc to find your assignment. Then the rest of it down here is normal. You can see my scale, category, and all that kind of stuff. So I can change, hey, my category, that's going to be a lesson. I'll change that to 10 points, my normal, and so forth, due dates. Now, this is what's new here. If you see this, this has been added. That was what we did from assigning that app, the Google Drive Assignments app. And when I click on this, it's going to pop up and say, hey, what assignment do you want to be able to attach and pass on? But I don't want that right away because guess what I failed to do is I didn't create an assignment yet. So let me X out of here. I'm going to keep this tab open. And I'm going to go over to my Google Docs, and I'm going to say, oh, hey, you know what? I've actually already started this. And so here's my document that I want the kids to do. I've worked on this on my own. It's in my own folder that they don't have access to. And what I'm doing here is I'm creating a document not necessarily of just something I want them to have, but something I want them to fill in. That's why this is different from sort of other docs that you may have played with. The idea that I don't want to necessarily give them a document or something to be able to look at. I want them to complete this. So it's kind of a digital worksheet idea. Now this is completely open to you to be able to make whatever you want. The idea that every kid will now have a copy of this. So up here where it says lesson 20 new stuff, that would change. It's now going to have the student's name on there, and the student's name will show up, then lesson 20 new stuff. So you would have John Doe, lesson 20 new stuff, Jane Doe, lesson 20 new stuff. You're going to have a new folder created in your Google Drive that will have all of these broken down by period and by lesson. So when the kids get this, I have instructed them, hey, everybody, I want you to fill this in. So they would put their name in here. If I wanted them to include something, so my kids are going to ultimately make a video per se, and I want them to be able to paste that link into there. But you can see I can have some other things. Hey kids, I want you to watch this video. So I'll make that a hyperlink to a video. And then I want them to be able to watch this and fill in this little table down here. When was this film first produced? 1925. Sort of a low-hanging fruit kind of question. Why do you think digital took over film? Oh, so now it's asking my own opinion kind of a thing because blah, blah, blah. What do I see the future headed? Oh, so now it's asking me to do a little bit of anticipation. These, again, can be completely up to you. You can use existing worksheets, make up your own. But what's nice is that you are now going to be able to get however many students that you have, they're all going to have their own one. So hold on, I don't want to be able to answer all those. I'm going to get rid of all this because I need to be able to make a master copy. This is what every kid is going to see. So once I get this set up, I don't want their name in here. I'm just demonstrating what it would look like. I need to be able to have this perfect document that when the kids get, they will all have their own copy. So I got this all set. I'm going to remember the name. It's called Lesson 20 New Stuff. Let me jump back over to Schoology. And now when I click on Google Drive Assignments, it's going to now ask me to go search for. I can go browse. I like the search feature up here. So if I just type in 20, let's see what shows up. And you can see here's some things with 20 on, like, oh, there's lesson 20 new stuff. When I click on that and then hit attach, now it has been added on. And this is, like I've said so far, this will create a copy of your file for each student. As soon as all the students, whenever they go and open this up, it will show up in their drive. So when I click create, that will show up. Now, I'm going to pause here for a second, and I'm going to jump out and show you a little bit of what this looks like on the student side. Now, from the student side, I'm going to go to my previous lesson, the one that I have already done. So this is an actual lesson my students are working on. And so this one is lesson 19. And this one, my students are doing green screen videos. Now, when I click on this, notice how this looks considerably different from what you have normally seen. Now I have this blue bar across the top, lesson 19, and I have 3 different things to check out. The assignment itself, which students are in progress in working on this or who haven't even opened it up yet. And then lastly, which students have finished this and have already turned it in. So if it starts on the first part assignment, what's nice is since I do have my classes grouped together, it will bring up all of them. So I have periods 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it lumps them all together, easy to jump back and forth. If I click on this, this would open up the lesson, the master lesson, the main one. But let me jump over here and check out in progress. When I click on that, now it's going to take me to my classes, and I can see I can go from first, second, third, and fourth. Let me jump into a random period. I'll take second period here. And when second period shows up, here's a list of my students who are in progress, which means they have not completed this yet, and they have not hit the submit button. Because what they will have got is they have, and I'll show you an example of Jake's over here. Jake has this lesson. He clicked on it and it was opened up by him. Says his last edit was 4 days ago, and his name was attached to the document. And he hasn't done anything because when I'm looking for the students is they will have to have completed this part of it because my lesson goes down there for what they have to read and learn and do and such. I'm asking them to be able to put their name on here, and then they have to create a video and put in the final link within here. And it could be anything. It could be a question, a multiple choice question. It could be short answers. It could be links to whatever, their own thoughts, essays, doesn't matter. But this is basically if you want feedback, you want to be able to have them put something back to you that you can check out. So Jake has not done this. And when Jake is finished with this thing, he is going to have something very similar, but he will have a button that says submit. Now let me show you an example of one that has been done. So if I go over to submissions, I'm still staying in number 2 here. Now I can see John Paul over here. He has finished his, and I have a new button over here called unsubmit. That means he's turned this thing in. He's ready to say, Mr. O'Donnell, you can grade this and check it out. If I had some issues, I can hit the unsubmit button and leave a comment to him on here, or be able to see him in class and say, hey, John Paul, I need you to be able to fix this or edit this or change that. Because as soon as he submits it, he can no longer edit this document. It is now my document. He's able to view it, but he cannot change anything to it as well. So I can see here, he did what I was asking. He put his name and he put a link to a video that he made and uploaded to YouTube, and I would check this out. Now let's say I'm like, hey, this was well done and did what I needed to. I can actually, here's another wonderful piece, is I can go in the upper right here and I can grade this assignment. By me putting 10 here, I could type in 10. If I wanted to, I could put some comments on here. Great work on this, John Paul. And I can say share this with my student and hit save. That's what the comment would go to. Now if I didn't, I could just put the number in and hit save. And this is going to be the exact same as if I put the number directly in the gradebook itself. So as I'm grading things, I could grade them directly from one to the next to the next. I can go from John Paul. I can go to the next student down here to Jackson and take a look at his and be able to do the same sort of thing. Check that, give him his score, and move on. So it's a really interesting, different way to be able to have the back and forth sort of turning in of digital assignments. And although it's sort of we're in the spring here of the semester, I still think there's a wonderful opportunity for you to maybe sort of dive in and see if this is a workflow that you may be interested in, be able to work in with your students this year and possibly next year.